If you're anything like me, MR2 in that specific order will remind you of a specific character in one piece. If you're a real car enthusiast, or if you're really cultured, you will know that this is a mid-engine Japanese sports car. Yeah, hey, this is George, by the way, guys. He's the owner of this MR2. I know nothing about it, so George is going to tell us about his MR2. Go ahead, George.
Well, this originally started as a $3,000 COVID project. Stripped back, no paint, no windows. Literally every interior panel was in boxes, not even marked, so I had to go through everything individually. Lucky enough, I had a couple of containers with the screws and bolts and clips and stuff like that. Came with a 4A GZE with an E51 gearbox, LSD, all the fruit that you'd expect for this sort of era. The original idea was to bring it back to original condition. Too many things were missing, so things changed a little bit.
It doesn't look original at all, man.
No.
But we'll talk about that soon, hey? Can you tell us about what the MR2 is, how it started, and what kind of connection you have with the MR2?
Well, throughout my P-plates, I did have the newer model, the SW20, for a good 4 or 5 years. People that I was friends with in the car scene always knew me to have an MR2. I didn't really have much else. I did venture into a few other things after, but MR2's always stayed true to me. And I always had a soft spot for these. They were a bit lighter. They were more 50-50, closer to weight distribution. They were more fun in my eyes, and you could get more out of it. With a bit of a twist though. I always like to get rid of whatever engine they had, add an extra 2 cylinders for a V6, which is what's happened to this too, but yeah. Now, this one here, like I said, things were missing. So I ventured to making a few things custom, and it got to the point where it's like, stuff it. It's my car. I don't really plan on selling it. I'm just gonna do things that I like to it too.
So what was the first thing you felt like you needed to do then?
The main thing was that really got to me was the mirrors. So I had Mark 1A and Mark 1B, which is a different styling designs. I had one side for each, and they were both missing the actual reflector parts. And that was the beginning of me going, whatever happens, happens. I ended up with some eBay side fenders to begin with, and I had ordered these at the same time, and they're crap, but passes pink slip, I guess.
Right, and you know, before we started filming, you said that everything is, you know, has been done at home, DIY, and
yeah, everything's done in the garage.
Yeah,
I bought a welder to do my own exhaust. It's got its own headers, the wide pipe, muffler system, all that sort of stuff. Anything now that I think of, I can pretty much do to it. The only reason it leaves the garage for anything to be done by a professional is for a pink slip or tires.
Well, let's start with what's on the outside then.
Outside is fairly stock apart from the mirrors. Now the guards, I'm running 15x8 with a 0 offset rim, which kind of doesn't work. If I want to run 195s, 185s, I'll get away with it, but it defeats the purpose of the car. So up front, I've got 205 50s at the front and 225 50s in the rear.
Oh, so 50 ratio, that's crazy, man.
Yeah,
so thick.
I prefer higher sidewall because it's built for Royal National Park, basically.
Yeah.
If you've been down there, you know the roads aren't exactly superb, potholes, that sort of stuff. It is rough terrain, so it needs the cushioning. It's also running on stock suspension too for that reason, just to absorb things a bit more. But at the same time, it looks like a four-wheel drive without lowering. So I decided one night, on a Saturday night, I cut the guard to see how far out I could get it and how it would look. And then I realized there's a big enough gap there, and I cut some spare sheet metal that I had out and tacked it all in. I'm like, okay, this can work. And you could probably see it. It's on this side here if you want to come have a look. As we progressively go through each guard, you see I get a bit better. That's the worst one.
Oh, because that was your first one.
That was the first one, that's right. Then I went over to that side there, which looks a bit neater, a bit more even. Yep. The actual sidewall part of it blends more better with the actual guard. And then we went to the third one here. You can see it's a lot neater, a lot more slimmer, and it follows the lines of the actual car more naturally. And then on the other side, I did a little bit of a fun one. Because the engine's in the back in these, the air filter on these, or the air box, sits in the boot. So I put a knacker duct in the back just to feed direct air and just blended that into it with the guard work that I did as well.
That looks crazy, man. How did you go about making something like that? First, you had to obviously cut the car.
Yeah.
But how were you able to mold it into such like a streamlined or a smooth kind of curve?
Body filler.
Body filler.
And just keep rubbing it back till it looks smooth.
And when you told me that it was stock height, flabbergasted, man, because it looks so low, it looks so good. Like what you've done with the fender guards, you've pulled it out to a point where it looks like it's been slammed to the ground. It looks so cool. And can you tell us about your lip kit?
The lip kit, that's a Bunnings special. I think it's about $4 or $5 a meter lineal. If any Bunnings stocks it for you.
Yeah, complete custom work, hey?
Yeah, just use good scissors for it, you'll be right.
Yeah. Let's talk about the engine bay, man.
Engine bay.
Everything you had to go through.
This is probably more the fun part for me. So
yeah.
I've always liked to play with the mechanical side of things. Normally, like I said, they come with a 4AGE, which is a 1.6 litre 4-cylinder. Now it's a 3-litre V6. 1M ZFE is the actual engine code for it.
V6?
Yeah.
Wow.
You'll find that in your average Camry.
That's why it sounds so good.
Yeah, sounds all right.
Okay.
It averages 10 litres to 100 kilometres after a good thrash.
Oh, really?
So economy on this is fantastic. If I drive it nicely, I can hit down to 6.5, 7 litres.
What are the challenges of fitting a V6 into this kind of engine bay?
A hammer, a grinder, and a lot of swearing. Took me half a day literally just to lift this engine up into the engine bay. Multiple angles, maneuverment, dropping again to readjust an angle to come up again. Probably about 18 or 19 times I had to lift up and down just to get it the right angle on the balancing for the engine crane, just to get it up nicely.
That's crazy, because it looks like it's such a cramped up, like a small area.
It
you
is.
obviously want to keep it between like the chassis of the car, or the tub and the rear axle.
This actually has better weight distribution with the where it sits than what the 4AG itself did. It weighs 20 something kilos less than what the GZE did, because they're a cast iron block, has a big supercharger and everything like that. And not only that, the GZE sits around here basically, so it's in line with the strut towers, and it sits further out this way towards where I am. As opposed to this engine here, majority of the weight's actually about probably 20 to 30% centralized, and it also hangs further over the tire. So it's basically making it more of a mid-engine car than the rear mid-engine, how it is. Plus it weighs less.
And obviously you probably had to make the engine mount for yourself and everything.
No, 3 engine mounts are stock, and this is the only one that I've modified, still using the stock mount. But all I've done is made a plate that's about 1 inch thick that bolts onto the motor to where the original mounts are in the Camry. And then I've made the provisions for the stock mount to bolt to that. So if I need to replace engine mounts, all I've got to do is look up the catalogue for a supercharged MR2.
And so this engine you said had like 300,000 Ks on it.
Yeah,
right?
originally it was a 330,000 kilometre engine out of a Camry. The gearbox is out of the Camry as well. So I haven't touched the gearbox. All I've done is probably change the oil every 500 Ks for about 4 or 5 times just to flush it out. The clutch is just your standard Exceedy, pressure plate and all that stuff, nothing too special. And the engine, I just rebuilt the whole thing. And to be honest with you, didn't really even need it. Just had a bit of extra sludge. The bearings were fantastic.
That's crazy. How did you fit a gearbox for a front engine car into a rear engine car?
The supercharged engine uses the same series gearbox, just with a different bell housing. Hence why the 3 engine mounts that go on the gearbox are the same. All I had to do was modify one of the plates a bit, just because it sits a bit lower on the GZE. It comes from the lower point to go to where the factory mounting is. And this one here on the E153 is what this one's called. It's found in the MR2 turbos. So it's pretty much the same bolt for bolt patterns, just got to use the actual brackets that come with it.
Far out, man. A lot of time and so much effort went into this.
A bit of research, Googling, YouTube. Literally, this is internet theorized.
Internet mechanic, eh?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The exhaust is probably the most intense that I've done to, apart from the heads. When I rebuilt the motor, I did a lot of porting, because they're very poor casting on these. They're an economy engine that's mass produced. So there's a lot of cast marks and angles and stuff that's very aggressive within it. Literally just smoothed that all out. I haven't oversized anything, just made it more efficient. The headers, I've made them as equal length as possible, because the factory is like a log style manifold. So it's very inefficient to make power. So it's just making things how they should have been from the factory, basically.
And you said you had a few challenges about the turbo setup or the position of the turbo.
With that one there, I wanted to originally do a rear low mount, and I was hoping I would have had enough angle for it. Didn't work out. So what I'm going to plan on doing is I'll open up the boot. I'll be placing it basically in the boot. So I'll be cutting it open and sectioning it all off and running it higher. So that way I've got a gravitational pull for the oil. That's my main concern with it. Other than that, the plumbing and everything is just going to be time consuming, and that's all. But you can see here as well, sorry, here's the other thing as well. I'm running all factory computer with OBD ports and all that sort of stuff. So it's like a stock car when it comes to reliability.
And it's so cool. I love how you've got the key for that one, the mobilizer.
Yeah, mobilizer. If I take that off, you can't do nothing with it, basically.
That's so funny. Right, so to clarify, this is running NA at the moment.
NA, yeah.
You're in the process of fitting the turbo
Correct.
to the engine.
And I'll be using a stock CT15B, which is on the 1JZ, the VVTIs.
Do you know if there are any challenges of mounting that turbo to this setup?
Not really. It's just more so the plumbing for the piping and just how you route it, and heat provision management. That's the main concerns, other than the oiling, which should be sorted once I raise the higher.
All the turbo manifold and the dump pipe and all that stuff, you've done that yourself already?
It'll just basically run off the original Y pipe that I've got with a bend upwards. So it's not going to be a close range turbo like you see on the stock setups. It's going to have a bit of length. So think of a Subaru basically. They come off the heads and they flow around, they have the up pipe.
Yeah.
So they've got a good 1.5 meters or so from the heads to the actual turbo itself.
Yeah. Man, that's a lot of work. I can't wait to see. It already sounds so good, man. It sounds like it revs so high. The pitch just changes so nicely when you're on the gas, man.
That's why I spent a good month or 2 researching harmonics and how the sound frequencies bounce off each other and how they're meant to, I guess, mingle together to make notes differently.
I just noticed though, your exhaust tips. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I just whacked some pipes on that I had left over, and it was as close as I could to a straighter angle rather than just a jumpy.
That's so cool, man. I love how everything that you've done is more for function. Like, you don't care how it looks. Everything just works. It works nicely and it works together.
It's literally built for Royal National Park on a Saturday night.
Before we go for a drive, can we have a look at the inside?
Yeah,
it looks really classic and it looks really retro.
It's actually as stock as possible apart from the seats and a few other little bits and pieces.
The interior, man, looks pretty cool.
Pretty stock, except for the seats. They were old, they were getting old, so the back supports on them were actually getting really loose. So I tried multiple times to tighten them up. Got frustrated, got given a free set of WRX seats.
Oh, these are Rexy seats?
These are Rexy seats,
I didn't even notice. They're really old ones.
Fun fact, if you're willing to hack up the bottom seat rails on them and get rid of the back section, they bolt straight on.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I love how it's so driver focused. It looks like a cockpit. The center console is so high up. The shift knob is so close to your steering wheel.
That's because if you wanted a bigger challenge or to get closer to death, the fuel tank sits right here.
Oh, right. Oh, mate. You're getting into an accident, bro.
Good luck.
Yeah.
No ABS, no power steering.
Really?
Nothing. It's as analog as possible.
You know, is the steering super heavy? Is it super hard to like get your braking point right when you're going around the corners?
Surprisingly, it's actually fantastic, especially when you're moving.
Yeah.
And being a mid-engine car, you don't drive it like you would a conventional rear-wheel drive or a all-wheel drive. You basically want to enter the speed through the corners as hard as possible and brake into the actual corner. Because you've got no weight at the front. So when you're braking, you're shifting that weight.
Yes. Oh, wow.
So you manage the weight with your brakes, basically. Get about a third of the way in, and then it's just flat foot from there.
Damn, that's scary. How's the stability of driving this kind of thing?
Once you get used to it, fantastic. Because even though it's mid-engine, I think from factory it's a 46-54 sort of split. So it's very close to a 50-50. So it's very well behaved depending on how you're driving. If you're trying to put negative inputs into it to cause it to slide out and stuff like that, you'll get that, but it's quite manageable. You
said it's all original. I love the way it looks. It's so cool. It's so retro. And is talking about power output of the current engine, is that irrelevant then? Because this car seems like it's all about soul, all about the way it drives, and
it's a very torquey engine. So once you get used to how it wants to be driven, it makes sense. It's not like the 4AGE where you have to have your foot down. Even though it's not going to do much difference, you have to maintain the revolutions of the engine to get it out. This thing here, you can effortlessly drive it. Driving it normally to speed limits, you're just resting your foot in that throttle. So once you understand the difference in the engine styling, it makes sense. Like you go through a togue sort of run and you're barely touching throttle. You're using brake to adjust weight and manage and just flowing through.
That sounds pretty intimidating though, man.
Oh, once you get the hang of it, it's like dancing.
That I can't do.
I can't dance, but that's my reiteration of it.
Right. Oh, that sounds sick. What the hell? Oh, dude, the steering is so heavy.
Really?
I've never driven anything without power steering.
Wow, I drive trucks for a living, so
right.
That's probably why it's light for me.
Dude, I can't believe that is NA.
Wait till you get on it. It's not making any noise yet.
Oh, sorry.
That's crunchy, don't worry.
Oh, okay.
330,000 K on the box.
Oh, so that's just normal?
Yeah, once you get used to it, you'll know where the revs are and how it likes to be engaged.
Yeah, right.
And you'll get more smoother with it.
Dude, this feels so light at the front. Oh my gosh.
From heavy to light now.
Yeah, yeah. No, but when you're turning, the front of the car feels like a feather.
Yeah.
You can feel the back.
That's why when you take a corner, you want to come in at proper speed and then brake into the corner itself. Yeah. So that way you're shifting as much weight as possible to the front wheels.
Cool. Dude, that sounds so cool.
You're only around like 2,500 RPM, by the way.
Yeah, but that feels like it feels so visceral though. It feels like I'm going so much faster. But it feels daunting. It feels scary to drive, man.
Really?
Yeah, it's so bumpy. I mean, maybe I've been spoiled by,
the new modern WRX. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that feels sick. I feel like the steering is a lot heavier when you're going slow.
Oh, of course.
When you're going fast.
When you're moving, it's
like
right.
That's crazy. And I can't believe this came out of a Camry. It sounds so good. Maybe it's because of the exhaust work that you've done to it.
Oh, hopefully. I've tried to piece them together on the same side as well, so they cancel out.
It still turns.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was the limit, but that's just.
Keep turning.
What the fuck? I dare say that this feels more planted and more sporty than my car. And this is what, stock suspension?
Stock suspension, yeah.
Have you done anything with the sway bars and all?
Stock sway bars, yeah, right here.
Yep.
And I've just upgraded all the bushes basically.
Right.
Like wear and tear items only have been replaced.
Yeah. This feels like an old Japanese car. I love it. It's got so much soul, man. Dude, I can't explain this feeling. Holy I've been in. This feels so freaking different, man.
See, it's not about the power.
Yes.
It's about
Power to weight ratio.
everything working symbiotically together.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? You like it? Or?
I love it, man. What the heck? This is wild. Oh, shit. Thanks so much.
That's alright. I hope you genuinely enjoy it.
No, I
honestly.
genuinely enjoy it. I've never had a feeling like this before. What a wild thing. Just tells you, or it's told me, that it's not all about power. It's all about power to weight ratio, how everything works together. George has put so much effort into this kind of thing. I'll leave his Instagram handle. Make sure you follow him. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next episode.